Next up, we have the wireframe renderer, which is basically just what it sounds like. It's a wireframe of the grid that your data resides in. So, let's start Vapor up. As usual, I will launch Vapor from the command line and point it at my Hurricane Harvey dataset. Once again, most users will click on the Vapor icon to open it, but I'm using the command line, so here we go. Maximize Vapor, and the first thing I'll do is click on New. Wireframe is the guy down here at the bottom, and it basically just creates it just draws the grid that your data exists within. Now, I'm looking at compressed data here. I'll turn it on real quick and we'll see what we're looking at. This data is compressed, and we can see down here at my refinement level um, that the current grid of the current variable, cloud fraction, is 137 by 137 by 6. So if we look real close, we can see Wirf's terrain following grid. If we come over here, here's a little mountaintop, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are, so this is node data, or I guess vertex data. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the vertical, and I'm not going to count 137, but I'm positive there's 137 cells on the X and Y axes of this rendering. If I bumped up the fidelity right now, it would start to look more and more like a volume rendering. So this grid is so fine that, well, I guess it's just much finer than, a much higher resolution than the grids I typically deal with. We can see we're looking at cloud fraction, and the wireframe renderer also has a transfer function that behaves in the same way. There's no opacity controls, just color controls, but it works the same way as the other renderers. And this is just kind of an analytical tool if you want to see what your grid is actually doing at different time steps. If you want to identify areas with missing values, I'm not sure if we have any missing values in this data set. But it basically works the same way as your other renderers. You can control the region that it's being drawn to, control the geometry either through the manipulator in the region mode. You can control the geometry through the GUI control panel, transforms, just like all the other renderers, and color bars, just like all the other renderers. So it also works on 2D and 3D variables, which are isosurfaces, and volume renderers do not. Some of the renderers in Vapor are 2D variable only, some are 3D variable only, some do both. This is one of those that does both. So if I click on 2D, right now we're looking at that grid flux variable, but I don't know, V10. That's what the grid for V10 looks like. So I don't see any missing value cells. And yeah, that's basically it. I think next we'll be moving on to the flow renderer, which is the most complex renderer. So we're saving the most complex for last. So stay tuned. It's complex, but it's also one of the most powerful renderers in Vapor, making some of the most compelling visualizations that I've ever seen. So I'm excited to show you guys how to use that. So stay tuned.